All right, here is part two of the chord combination and comping series. And today we're going to be talking about range mixing and a fun little thing that I like to call clav comping. So stick around for that and find out what it is. Thanks. So those three concepts are really solid, really great way, kind of like a steadily advancing into more of an intermediate place with understanding chords on the stick, right? The basic being root and triad, then root and triad on the third that leads to the seventh, and then finally mixing and matching upper structure triads. But that whole realm comes from the idea that these two sides are separate entities. So if you really want to bring everything together into this like big, thick, unified place, all we got to do is add a little bit of range mixing. So I'm not sure if I've ever said this on video, but what I mean when I say range mixing is when the upper range of one side, usually the bass side, is within one octave of the lower side, the lower range of the other side, which is usually the treble side. So something like this. With the redundancy, the same note being like right here. And using range mixing allows the stick to kind of unify into these beautiful, thick chord structures that are very difficult to make with other instruments. Take the B section of Geff's Back from Space Earth, for instance. My part here uses range mixing and just simple dyads, two-note chords on either side with range mixing to really make for a melodic chordal part. And if that's a lot of chords going on at once, but if I separate all these out individually, you wind up with this. You get these really nice, dense chords that all kind of fit into this C-sharp minor thing. And you can tease this concept out by adding more notes to either side, just like the chords from one of the passages of the B section of Macroaggressions, which uses these range mix chords to get this really thick texture. Or the fingerpick part from Morning Star, all by Geff. And you can check out all of these stacked together. Really purposeful tension in there, and a lot of really clashing notes because the piece is designed to be played arpeggiated. The chords sound a lot better, make a lot more sense when you play them like that. But the idea is the same. I'm still I'm even taking it a step farther into the previous sections. I'm still, taking shapes, triads from either side, and layering them on top of each other, and using range mixing to kind of blend them all together. Finally, I'd like to demonstrate a comping technique that I've been playing around with a bit lately, that I'm calling clav comping, because it's got a similar effect to a clavichord. And the idea is that you've got a lot of rhythm going on between both hands, and you're basically creating structures from chord scales on the spot. And what that means is that you're creating structures from scales that go along with the chord that you're trying to play over. I find that pentatonics work really well because you can kind of just lay your finger down and you're bound to hit some pentatonic notes. And that being said, I suggest that you go check out my wall method video on pentatonics and how to build chords out of them before moving on to this part. So your left hand is going to be splitting the ranges with the lowest two notes, or the lowest two strings, kind of being your bass note, and you can almost think of it as like an accent. That's your strong beats. And your upper ranges can be fifths, they can be sixths, they can be pretty much whatever you feel like grabbing, right? Like that. And you're going to use those in a rhythmic fashion alongside the treble side, which is going to be, as I said again, grabbing structures made out of chord scales. I'm just kind of playing notes that are bunched in the minor pentatonic scale here. And when you give them a little bit of rhythmic interplay and you keep them nice and staccato, which I feel is the way that works better, you wind up with something like this. So this whole particular riff is kind of outlining the C minor 7 thing, and I'm hitting, really driving that C minor 7, the C root home here, and then using the C minor pentatonic to kind of drive the minor and the minor 7th sound home. And by just being rhythmic between my hands and then kind of staying, all of those are A flat, F, E flat, B flat, that's all in C minor as well, and then I keep the C minor pentatonic moving. It just really screams C minor pentatonic or C minor 7. And you could really do this for any chord that you wanted to. If I wanted to do this for C major 7, I would just use the major pentatonic instead, which is going to look something like this. All you have to do is adjust the structures that you're hitting and adjust the chord in your left hand as well, and there you have it. This style of comping isn't going to work for everything. Obviously, it's a very busy style, so if the band is already busy, or you're starting out a song and you want to start out really kind of low energy, maybe this isn't the right thing. But if you want to sing over it, or if somebody's just starting out a solo and it's like the third solo in the song and you want to boost the energy a little bit, yeah, sure, why not? So I know this was a lot, and I know it's pretty theoretically dense after the first 2 minutes of it, but I wanted to give a broad range of things that you can do so people who have a lot of theory can really see kind of some of the depth that the stick carries in terms of chords. And honestly, I think I'm just scratching the surface here. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg for what this instrument is capable of. So, as usual, I've got exercises for all this on my Patreon page, which is in the link below. And yeah, I hope you found this useful. Thanks a lot, and keep exploring.